Welcome to the Business Reignitor series, episode 9. I get asked quite a lot from business owners for ideas of how to grow their business. So in this series, I look at different types of businesses that we're interested in partnering with to talk through what I do with each business to help it grow and dominate its local market. During my career, I've grown multiple businesses into multi-million pound, 7 and 8 figure revenue businesses across multiple industries. And this is the same process I use with those. During the series, I'll pick a random company off the internet and I do a deep dive into what I'd do with that company if I owned it or if I was running it myself. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about a hotel resort business. So let's get into that. So in this video, we're looking at a company called Palm Beach Resort and Spa based in Madagascar. Now, I don't know this company. I don't know anyone in it. I've never come into contact with this business before now. And they aren't paying me to promote their business. So I'm basing all my growth suggestions on assumptions, all based on what I can see in their business or on their website. Now, obviously, if I was actually inside this business, I'd probably choose a few different or additional strategies from what I'll talk about in this video. But none of what I talk about is meant to be derogatory in any way, and it's not intention to cause any kind of damage to the business. If you're a client of this business, please don't let my suggestions determine whether you decide to stay there. And if it's relevant, please do your own due diligence on the business. So likewise, nothing in this video is an endorsement of the business either. So if you're interested in working with this company, the web address is on the screen. If you're interested in staying there, you can reach them through that, and I'm sure that they'll appreciate that extra web traffic as well. One thing I noticed from coming into contact with hundreds of businesses over the years is that most share the same issues and reasons why they just seem a bit stagnant in the growth. Now, I'm not saying this business shares those issues or that they're stagnant in the growth. I've not seen their accounts, so I don't know if that's true or not. But what I found is when a business is stagnant or is struggling to grow, it's because they just need what I call a bit of reignition. Most of the time, it's not even a lot that needs doing with the business, or it's just normally just small tweaks or changes, and then it just takes off. But with every business, we have to start with where the business is right now. I'm not talking about where its physical location, although that can come into it. I'm talking about every part of the business. Without doing this step, it's like having a map and saying you want to go to, let's say, Disneyland, Florida, but not knowing where you are to start with on that map. How can your sat nav give you the directions of how to get there if it doesn't know where you're starting from? Now, there's lots to go into with understanding where the business is, which for this business, we don't have access to that information. So we'll base everything we talk about in this video based on what we can see on the website. So what did they do? Who did they do it for? How big is the business? What assets does it have? How many staff are employed? Does it employ a management team, or is it reliant on the owners? But everything starts with the customer. So you'll see what I mean by this as we move through this. So we want to imagine, how can we maximize what this group of customers spends with the business? So with this business, the products and services it offers are hotel rooms, and also they have a spa and a fitness center. Now, if I were growing this business, I'd add a number of offerings to the business. First, I'd create our own food garden within the property to grow our own food. If you talk about this to the guests, it also creates a better sense of healthy and sustainable practices. It may also reduce the overheads in the business as it won't need to buy that as much food from outside suppliers. And then second, I'd add our own renewable energy power supply to the property. And this will make sure we always have power, but also reduce the running costs of the resort. It would also be sustainable for the business as well. And next, I'd add a wellness offering in the spa. While the resort already has a spa, by adding a series of wellness programs to the spa, it would also attract guests that would focus on improving their health, which otherwise might not have traveled to that specific resort. So it becomes more of a kind of destination resort. And then fourth, I'd create a new location in a different country so that we could sell previous guests to a new location. And this means in the future, we might attract guests that otherwise wouldn't have visited Madagascar, all because they know about us through this new location. And at last, I'd create special holiday packages that would further position the resort as a destination resort For example, I might create safari holidays or cycling holidays or even volunteer holidays where people can come and volunteer in that local community whilst they stay at the resort. I wouldn't do all of these at the same time. I'd bring each one over time, probably taking 3 to 9 months on each one, launching it, testing it, and then optimizing it with the end goal of operating it almost like a standalone business with its own group of staff. And obviously that doesn't happen overnight, it takes time. But what I'd start with, I'd start with what I call test bed customers. And these are customers that are happy to be that guinea pig for new offerings. And maybe they get the offering at a bigger discount. But what you use these customers for is to refine that product offering and iron out any delivery issues before you start to scale it to the rest of the customers. After I know that the process is working, I then dedicate someone to sell this new offering to the company's existing customer base. And one thing I see over and over again, when a business creates a new product or a service offering, they create something that their existing customers don't have a need for, and they don't already buy that thing. And this means they have to go out and find a new set of customers to sell it to. I think it's caused because perhaps they look at what their competitors are doing. Maybe the competitor provides a service or a product that their business doesn't. And so they automatically just create that product offering, but they don't have anyone to sell it to. So then they have to start targeting new customers, which costs them money, it eats up the cash flow, it reduces your profit margins, and it ends up taking much longer before you reach that same end result. It's much more profitable and faster to see results if you focus on selling more to your existing customers. The next thing I do with this business is create collaborations with resorts in other locations. And this way, we might be able to market to a shared customer database. Next, I'd build a new resort or upgrade an existing resort in a new location. And third, I'd look at acquiring or merging with other successful resorts in other countries so that we could share resources and start to build what I would call a legacy resort brand. I'd also look at adding partnerships to the business. First, I create a partnership with a developer, and this is what we do already. So we do that all that development work. Second, I'd create partnerships with investor groups so that the business has access to capital for the various projects that we've mentioned. And third, I'd look for a partnership with a wellness concept. Again, this is what we do. So we bring all of the necessary pieces together ourselves to do that anyway. Obviously, doing each of these activities or strategies will need a level of investment to bring it to life. Now, that might just be a time investment, but others might need significant financial investment. And from that investment, you then expect to see a return on each activity. So we want to prioritize each of these strategies or activities according to a few criteria. So how much investment is needed? What are the expected returns? How fast will we see those returns? And how much cash flow or further investment will each need in the future or to operate it within the business? The next question is, how much should the business invest into these growth projects? And obviously, we don't know the numbers inside this business. So it really depends on those particular business numbers and what their growth projections are. But as a rule of thumb, I'd look to invest around 15 to 20% of the projected revenue for the next year. So let's say the business has 2 million revenue now, and they want to reach 2.5 million revenue next year. Then the investment budget of between 375,000 and 500,000 would be about right to do that. And remember, it's not a cost to the business. This is investing in a new asset for the business, which will then generate more revenue every year following that. So we've created a number of strategies to focus on growing this business. Now, the problem that I see with most businesses that try to do these strategies is they'll go off and they'll start trying to do it all themselves. The problem with doing that is it becomes a distraction to your existing core business. And in the various businesses I've been involved with myself doing this, it was me and maybe a small group of people that focused on doing this growth plan, while the rest of the business continued to be run by people that were dedicated to that part of it. You have to really think about these growth projects or these growth activities like you're creating a special task force. And that special task force will then go out and create that new thing, whatever that thing is, whether it's a product or a business or a service. So to give you an example, if you think about Apple, now Apple have shops and they have people looking after the manufacturing of those different products, but they also have a completely separate group of people that focus on solely on designing and creating new products. And that team of people don't do anything else. They don't get involved in fixing people's faulty phones. They don't build iPads. They don't build laptops. They don't do work in the shops selling things. They work on designing and creating new products. And some of those products won't even be available to buy for the next 5 years. But that's how every business should think about this. Apple might be a big business now, but it was the same when they first got started. They always had one group of people that would be working on building the computers, but then they'd have a small group of people that was creating that next product. And this is what we do. We're like that special task force in a business. So the final question is, how does this business go about doing these particular strategies? Now, we use a lot of different frameworks and tools that we've created over the last 30 years of doing this in our own businesses. And a lot of these frameworks and tools are available through our website or through courses, books, and videos that I've created. But the intention of doing these videos is to attract suitable partners to us, where if you're aligned with what we're doing and where we want to go ourselves, well, we'll work with you and we'll do this process with you as a joint venture. So if that sounds interesting, the place to go is our website. I'll leave a link in the description and you can reach us there. If you haven't seen my latest books, I'd highly recommend you read these. So the Momentum Framework and my most recent book, Sustainable Community, where I go much deeper into using these different strategies. And I'll leave a link in the description for those as well. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you got some value from the video and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.